What's up, traders? So Monday, New York session coming to a close. We caught a good 60 pips on GA, and we got some big. I've been highlighting the euro the past 2 weeks basically, and we had a huge bounce in the euro. So let's take a look at what's going on in Euro USD, what's going on in the dollar going into turnaround Tuesday tomorrow, my favorite day to trade. Take a look at GA and see what we got coming into tomorrow's day of trading. So still holding on to Aussie CAD here. We got a nice little rally to the 200 SMA past this order block zone, which I was looking for, but it looks like took out some stops there. And I would like us to head lower, although I will say it looks like we're kind of going sideways here. But still holding this trade. I really like it in terms of it ticks all the boxes for me and what it is I'm looking for. But like I said, we are kind of going sideways a little bit. Now, if we go to pound Aussie, I think we're going to go much lower. I think our 150 pip take profit could definitely get hit. So that has us at 1.6850. So this is just a really big downtrend. I've been trading this and sending out trades for, since the 1st of August, knocking down, 100 pips at a time, pretty much each one. So I do think we are coming towards the bottom part. We're about to level out a little bit. So it'd be nice too, because we're already locked in here. Stop loss is at entry. So if we can, maybe we get a little bit of a shift in momentum from this Aussie strength, which would pour out of GA, and maybe that weakness would come in here for Aussie CAD. So obviously that would be the ideal scenario, but you can see here my setup, like if we're talking about trends, and you can see here I have my envelopes, my 200 SMA, and I am essentially looking for the same pattern over and over again. This is exactly what I teach the traders in the accelerator group. It's, I don't even use trend lines anymore. I mean, very rarely, maybe if I'm marking up something bigger, or like, maybe a 4-hour chart, or even an entry on something like this, where you can see from my indicators here that we are breaking down. This is a breakdown, right? So this would be a good entry signal. But other than that, I'm looking at the market structure in terms of trend, recognizing these patterns. And from there, we're more or less making a game time decision as to whether or not we want to enter a trade, right? So like, if I'm marking out structure here on Euro USD, which I've talked about this being a potential bear flag pattern, right? So here would be a flagpole. Here would be the actual flag itself. And typically, as kind of a rule of thumb, now, we bounced really hard down here, right? So I was thinking maybe we're going to break down, but we got a huge rally in the euro today. This was potentially a false breakout, which I do think it was. Now, if this flag does choose to play out, then by the definition of a flag pattern, then this would have us to the equal length, equal distance of that pole, right? So this is what we're looking for. Something like that in terms of measuring the move out is what I would be looking for. But other than that, I'm looking at the market structure. I'm looking for contraction cycles. I'm looking for expansion cycles, and looking for this. And really, after a while, it just becomes down to pattern recognition. But you'll notice with my charts that I send out to the group, it's the same thing over and over again, right? So like, if you can, this is the flip side of that pattern. CAD yen, just straight beast mode here, right? So this would have been an excellent trade. So you can see here's our envelopes, here's our 200, here's our momentum, and looking for a dip in there. And, this would have, well, that's 70 pips right off the get-go. So hopefully somebody got in on this rally with the trend. Very good trade, right? So being able to find these opportunities here, and some of these euro pairs, very interesting, right? Because we had this This was the FOMC, or not the FOMC, but Jerome Powell Friday. And we got a little pushback, a pullback, and then, you know, looking pretty bullish here, right? So we'll see how this pans out going into Turnaround Tuesday tomorrow, but still holding GA. And so if you can get to where you're recognizing these patterns over and over and over again, and then also having, this is a great example of GU. It looked like we tried to bounce a little bit, but didn't happen. I actually talked about this in the weekly outlook video. It looked kind of like a flag pattern, bear flag. This played out a lot better than the euro, that's for sure. But once you could get to a spot where you can recognize patterns over and over again, so you can see it in the market, and you have a system that you're following of risk to reward. I mean, most people blow their accounts or lose their challenges or whatever because you don't have a system that you trust, something to follow, a guideline, a baseline that you're using to analyze the market. So then when you get up on a trade, you're just like, either close it way too early to try to squeeze everything out, because somewhere on a subconscious level, you don't know if there's going to be another winning trade again, right? You've heard me say in the trainings and everything else that there's always a winning trade, or there's always another trade. There's always a winning trade. It's a whole different story, but there's always another trade. But the thing is, you could be like, yeah, there's always another trade, but how am I going to find it? You know, like, I mean, this is hard, right? So if you don't have a way to find those trades, find those setups, then, you know, that's going to create the bad, poor trade psychology of blowing your accounts, over leveraging, over trading, closing trades too early, you know, letting them run and then holding them too long, and then either getting taken out at entry or ending up back in the negative, right? So the roller coaster of psychology, the baseline of that is that you don't have a strategy, a system that you really trust. And if you don't have any trust, like, of course, when you're going to just have a lot of sleepless nights, and it's going to be a roller coaster. Not to say you get to a point where trading's not, because that's just the nature of the beast in a lot of ways. But the thing is once you start to get dialed in, once you start to learn a system, once you have a blueprint that you can follow, things are going to shift. And then you can work on your risk management. Then you can work on your trade psychology. Then you can break out of that plateau, that holding pattern you've probably been at for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, or, you know, losing cycle of blowing accounts, all that stuff, right? So, you know, if you don't have the guidance, if you don't have the system, and you can notice on my charts, see right there, that was actually an alert from my system, right? So like from the momentum, from what it is that we're doing, you know, it's late in the day. I wouldn't take this trade, so we'll take a look at it. Aussie Swiss cross over here on the 15-minute. So actually looks kind of decent to the downside, especially if we get some follow through. But so now, you know, because of the system that we're doing, I can actually see where these potential moves are happening, and then make a decision if it meets my criteria for entering or not. And that's why you see that all my markups look pretty much the same, because I'm basically ticking the boxes to find that good setup. So if you want to learn the system, if you want to learn the blueprint, if you want to break the pattern you've been in, and if you actually want to make this like a legitimate thing, the reason I always keep talking about this and pitching it and everything else is because it works. I know people are losing because I was there, right? So I know the cycle just as good as anybody, and I've helped hundreds of people too. And like, this is the thing. I know people out there are losing. That's what it is, right? So if you like, that's why I almost feel obligated to always talk about it, because we have an amazing community. We have an amazing system. We have some awesome trainers. We've got Angelo. He's crushing it. And you know, if you want to be on a winning team, this is what you're looking for. So Turnaround Tuesday tomorrow, we're going to be live trading it as well. So if you want to be a part of that, click the link below. Let's make it happen. And going to be holding those Aussie trades, and let's crush it this week, everybody. NFP, peace.